Hello. There we go. Hello. Hello, hello. Let us get right on into this novel because I'm really hoping that we'll be able to finish this tonight. I think at the 2 hour mark, if we're not done yet, I'll see how much more we have to go, and then depending on, you know, if it's like an hour's worth left, then I'll be like, oh yeah, and done. And I'll just pick that up next time. So, I forgot to move some stuff to the second monitor. Jan Jan Etor, Dr. Jan Etor. It's a great bit. We're legal custodians. Get it? All right. Let's see here. There you are. I can't believe I forgot to open the fucking visual folder. This whole time, I just forgore. All right. Let's see. All right, the next chapter we are on Bant. Also, when last we left off, let's see. It was revealed that Johnny's childhood friend, Zaliki, was the one responsible, tangentially, for killing Johnny's older brother. But she's only related insofar as, like, a Leonin legendary hero thought long dead, named, what the fuck is his name? Where is he? I've got a card. Named Marisi, had given her these like weird this weird trinket to throw into the bonfire at their celebration. And when she did, these demons came upon them. Or the demons like were summoned, and then they killed it, and then they killed Johnny's brother. So now Zaliki blames herself, even though Marisi was the one to give her the fucking I don't remember what exactly it was, but it was weird things that she threw in the fire and summoned demons. But either way, Johnny's grappling with that. Um, a demon dragon by the name of Malfagor is headed across multiple chunks of Alara to Bant, and he's closing in. Meanwhile, the Rhino warrior, who recently was paralyzed, um, discovered and proved that a legendary blade rested beneath the plants in this holy garden on Bant. And so they're currently forging the sword. And right now we are back on Bant, and we return to the POV of Elspeth, the Planeswalker. Where are you? There you are. Morning light, now in the end. We're listening to the Dot Hack Sign soundtrack, by the way. And if it ends up that I have to mute the entire stream whenever I post it to YouTube, oh fucking well. Here we go. Nut Captain Elspeth Tyrrell had been at the ruins of Giltspire Castle since word came that the demon army approached. She had a private contingent of knights, the responsibility granted to her in Rafiq's prior absence. Among her legion were some of her knight captains from back in Valoron. Any minute now, when the moment came, she would have to order them into the fray to ask them to die for the world that she had only recently adopted. Her heart was as heavy as a stone. Though she loved that world, Bant was truly theirs, not hers. The white stone obelisk behind her, the remains of a great citadel, was not a cherished landmark to Elspeth, but a reminder of the fragility of all she held dear: family, honor, and peace. High above her, angels smashed into screeching demons. Before her, the army of Malfagor approached, thrashing through Asha's army without so much as a slow in their pace. If Bant's fighters weren't ready for the mages of Esper, Elspeth thought, then they could never conceive of the horrors of war with demons and the undead. Her home was being overrun. She felt a stab of paralyzing terror as the morbid things approached. It was like she was back in her old home world again. Far across the battlefield, over the warring armies, Elspeth saw the demon dragon abomination, the Grixis General Malfagor. She saw it rear back, spreading its bat-like wings to blot out the sun, and saw that its eyes were locked on the white obelisk behind her. Malfagor uttered a vast noise from the bowels of its chest and raised two of its arms high. Even from where she was, Elspeth could see that between its hands it was conjuring a noxious tangle of black magic. Bant soldiers and Grixis undead alike began screaming in bloody agony, writhing and toppling onto the battlefield. "Legion, attack!" Elspeth called. "Mages, fire on that demon! All cavalry, charge that demon! All infantry, destroy that demon!" There's something really weird about that cadence that was funny to me. Elspeth's troops rode into combat ahead of her, charging into the fray to face Malfagor. She took her place in the saddle of her Leotau steed, and was about to follow after them, when she heard a call from behind her, from the road behind the obelisk. "Elspeth!" shouted her monarch, Arasil, the Blessed, riding a noble stallion at full gallop, her robes flying in the wind. There was a procession of her servants behind her, but she rode faster than all of them. Arasil held aloft a shining sword, pointing at Elspeth with it. "Elspeth, this is the sword of Asha. You must get this to Rafik." Sweet. Sometime later. Meanwhile, Malfagor's spell was proceeding as planned. The obelisk opposite him was free, but had never come to life, had never spread the mana of Bant to the center of the maelstrom as Bolas wished. The demon could sense the lattice of protection spells surrounding it. They were powerful, holding in what must be an impressive storage of pure mana, protecting that mana from escaping Bant. But Malfagor had plenty of resources at his disposal to rip down the sheltering magic. There was an entire battlefield of vessels of life energy before him, ready to be torn open to power his spell. He reached above his head and called up a baleful glyph and used the power of the spell to drag all the life force from everyone. From everyone around him. Even the tiny scraps of life left in his own undead troops. He had no need nor desire to win this battle, he thought. He only needed to kill enough creatures to bring down the magic protecting the obelisk. And then he could be on his way. As he held the spell, he saw a rush of knights and mages charging at him, dodging around the writhing mortals caught in his spell. Before they could reach him, he crushed the glyph between his claws, breaking loose its power. A shockwave of death rippled outward, leveling everyone before him. Most of them died instantly, their souls torn roughly from their bodies to feed Malfagor's spell, leaving a wake of crumpled bodies. It was plenty of power to do the job. Malfagor was sorry to waste such a delectable fusion of soul energy, but he cast it at the obelisk in the form of a black bolt of death. Meanwhile, down on the battlefield, Rafik was blasted off his feet by Malfagor's wave of death magic. He felt excruciating, wrenching pain as the sorcery attempted to twist his soul free of his body, and as he tasted firsthand the force of death itself. When the surge of pain abated, he was alive, but one of only a few. As he looked around him, he saw that nothing stood within the blast radius around Malfagor, as if the demon had swung an enormous scythe to reap both the living and the dead. Malfagor's magic slammed into the white obelisk, enveloping it in sickly black tendrils for a moment, and then dissipating. The obelisk flared to life with an explosion of white light, blinding Rafik momentarily. When the light subsided, a stream of distortion led from the top of the obelisk away into the distance, and the demon Malfagor was walking away, back in the same direction. "No," said Rafik aloud. "It couldn't happen that way. Where was his glorious victory? Where was the fulfillment of Asha's prophecy? Where was Asha herself, lifting high the holy weapon that should have slain this terrible beast? Rafik, shouted the knight captain Elspeth, riding toward him at speed. She held up a sword by the scabbard, and without warning flung it at him. Yeet! Rafik caught it. It was incredibly heavy and warm to the touch, even through the scabbard. He unsheathed it, and it was as if the sun had been encased in the leather. Its blade glowed, even at the junction points where it had been fused together by a blacksmith only hours before, and built into the crossguard of the sword was the sigil of Asha, the same sigil he had been awarded as Knight General. Finally, he wielded a part of history, the sword of Asha. Hell yeah, brother. He stood and turned to Malfagor's retreating form. You know, here, let's change the POV to what it is now, which is Rafik. Alrighty. Where are we? There it is. He stood and turned to Malfagor's retreating form. He charged the abomination on foot, running toward it despite being dwarfed by the demon's size. Behind him, Elspeth willed him all the power and protection she could muster, and Rafik found himself floating as much as running, a charge that lifted him into the air, right at the heart of the creature, just as the creature turned to face him. For a moment, Rafik felt the touch of divinity. He imagined wings spread out from his back as he held an archangel's sword, soaring over the battlefield toward the Lord of Evil. I am Asha's return, he thought. As Malfagor saw the blade, and as the light from the blade approached his skin, he howled. As Rafik flew towards him, the demon raked his claws across Rafik's body. Rafik felt his armor tear away from him as if it were paper, but he didn't feel the hellish claws cut his skin, nor did his trajectory waver. He fell into the beast, his destiny unalterable. Rafik swung once, twice, and the sword cut through the abomination, slicing deep channels of light all the way through his body. Two fissures in the shape of an X tore Malfagor open from his shoulders to his hips, and his body parted at the seams. The demon's arms fell to the sides, his head rolled backwards, and his body crumpled to the ground. The abomination collapsed, a mountain of death destroyed. Hail, yeah, brother. That's one thing dealt with. All right, let's see, 344. $373. 344, 373. Okay, yeah, about 29 pages. I think I can do 29 pages in 2 hours because it's only been 20 minutes. All right. Deep in the maelstrom. Let's see. Ah. Okay, we return to Ajani's POV in the maelstrom. But for the sake of the VOD thumbnail, let's use this one, and then we'll have that be the thumbnail. Since the card is called the Maelstrom Wanderer, so it's a wanderer inside the maelstrom. So what's behind it is accurate. All right. Ajani's tormented thoughts of vengeance were shattered by a blast of fire from above. "Well met, Ajani Goldmane!" shouted Sarkhan from the back of the dragon Karthus. Behind them were more dragons, each tearing through the air in their own loops and patterns. As Ajani ran for cover, the dragons wheeled about and swooped swooped in to breathe fire over the armies of elves and Nacatl. Dragonfire scorched great swaths of the humanoids, sending the armies into chaos. "Destroy them!" shouted the elf Mael. The gorge, I guess, around the mana maelstrom erupted with magic. Elves blasted the dragons with thorn-spiked winds, with particles of Naya jungles shredding their scales and wings. Zaliki threw strength magic across the humanoid armies, trying to boost their resilience to the flames. Even Kresh's warriors cast symbolic war curses into the fray as they leveled all their spears at the draconic enemies. Hell yeah. Torrents of magic whipped all around Ajani. He felt it thrashing at his mind. The dragon's rage, the army's spellcasting. It all served to churn up the maelstrom of mana before him. As streams of mana flowed into it from four directions, flares of jagged energy also surged outward from it, lashing the dragons and humanoid warriors alike. As magic swirled around the gorge, the maelstrom only got more and more violent. They were contributing to it, he thought, and they needed to stop feeding it. If any entity was able to tap into that much primal power, it could overload, sending the maelstrom and the lines of mana that fed it into a chain reaction that could destroy all five worlds. So when a new fifth stream of mana flickered to life from the obelisk on Inbant, Ajani knew he had to do something drastic. Meanwhile, I guess, some time passes. "You've put it together, brother," said Jazal's voice. "I have to stop it," said Ajani. "We're causing the maelstrom. We're feeding it." "So stop feeding it," said Jazal. "But I have to stop them all from feeding it." "So stop them all." "What, are you some kind of idiot? Just go ahead and stop it. Just go ahead and stop 3 armies worth. There's no big deal." "It's no big deal." Ajani's vision clouded. Around him he saw only the streaks of mana. Nature magic, magic of fire and rage, magic of healing and protection, and others, thrashing back and forth between the humanoids and Sarkon's fight of rage-blooded dragons. All of them were fueled by bonds of mana, bonds that anchored their magic to the power inherent in the realms of Alara. To his surprise, Ajani could perceive the bonds directly as if they had been beams of light revealed by smoke. He saw traceries of connection and correspondence all around him, joining every mage and monster with their sources of power all over the world. The volume of mana flowing from all corners of Alara was enormous, all cascading to the maelstrom at the intersection of all the shards. It had to stop. He had to staunch the flow somehow. Ajani saw his own mana bonds, bonds not only with Naya, but with the volcanic shard of Jund, where he had first planeswalked. He saw the cauldron of lava into which Sarkon had vaulted, and into which he threw himself in a moment of glory and rage. He summoned mana from all sources he knew, and cast it out in one savage roar. Energy blasted outward from Ajani, throwing a metaphysical gust around the maelstrom gorge. The blast shook the earth with one savage jolt, and for a moment everything stopped. Mages and dragons both halted their assault and looked around bewildered. The outburst of rage subsided, and became a simple breeze ruffling Ajani's fur. All the combatants recovered then, and attempted to rejoin their fight, but found that their mana bonds had all been severed. They had no mana to fuel their spells, and the essence of the dragon's flames had drained away. Smoke wafted from Ajani's fur. The dragon spiraled high up into the air, screeching in rage. Sarkon slapped the flanks of the Hellkite Karthus with his heels, and the two of them veered away from the fight. All dragons beat their wings hard, retreating somewhere in the direction of Jund. A cheer went up among the elves and Nakatl. "Ajani, you did it," said Zaliki. "I don't know how you did it, but you stopped their magic." Ajani nodded, exhausted. "And I can't thank you enough," said the dragon planeswalker Nicobolus as he appeared out of the sky. Uh-oh. It was all part of his plan. Oh no. Oh boy. Ah shit, hold on, I forgot to do the go live for Blueski. Now in the end. Oh, not live nuts. Live now. Boom. Let's see here. Okay. We return to Bant. Oh, and we're still with the Johnny's POV. Open. Come on. There we go. Yeah. Okay. To Bant. Ajani watched with awe as the oily scaled elder dragon descended from the savage sky above the mana maelstrom. The creature's scales matched the dragon scale spheres he had seen used to sow chaos on Naya. But the sense of majesty Ajani felt radiating from the beast was the way he truly knew. What? But the sense of majesty Ajani felt radiating from the beast was the way he truly knew he faced the one behind them. Was the way. That's not how you. What? That's not how you say that. It's was how he truly knew. Anyway. But the sense of majesty Ajani felt radiating from the beast was how he knew, truly, he faced the one behind the plane-spanning plot to create the maelstrom. "Hello, little walker," said Bolas. Ajani had only a dim sense of the action around him, of the elves and the cattle attempting to attack Bolas. As Ajani had destroyed their mana bonds, the humanoids were powerless to attack him. Bolas looked from side to side as he landed before Ajani, killing dozens with a thought. I think it meant without a thought. Ajani saw elves, humans, and the cattle he knew dying by the moment. "Retreat, all of you!" shouted Ajani. "Go!" With Sarkon's dragons dispersed and the black dragon killing them at will, they didn't need more instruction than that. All around the two planeswalkers, the armies fled in every direction. "Ajani, don't do this," cried Zaliki. "Don't put yourself in evil's way." "What?" "Someone has to," Ajani told her. "Go, Zaliki, now." "Goodbye," he thought after her, as she reluctantly turned to the direction of Naya, and he watched her run out of the gorge with the Cloud Nakatl warriors. Bolas watched them go, a bemused curl warping his lips. Okay. Then he turned his head to Ajani, the tiny Nakatl before him, and folded his claws together. And now we go to Nicole Ball's POV. Patetico. Oh, right. Wrong button. This button. That's... "You took a while to show up, little walker," said Bolas. "I need to stop overestimating mortals." "I've been looking," snarled Ajani. "You've been hiding." "Hiding? Hardly. I've been a step away from you your whole life, little cat. Tantalizingly close. My door's been wide open, but I don't blame you for your clumsy mistakes. You've only just learned to take your first steps. To you I seemed so far away, so ineffable, so unreal. You didn't even have anything in your experience to compare me to, did you?" You had no frame of reference, no theoretical web in which to embed the monumental idea of me. So you couldn't know. You were literally incapable of knowing. I've seen distances you couldn't imagine. I can totally see farther than you can. It's literally how he sounds. How could you? Your imagination had been closed inside the boundaries of a singular world. But it didn't make sense, did it? Your brother's death, the coincidences, the sums didn't balance. The math didn't math. Little Naya just was too shallow a bowl to hold all the facts. And these facts don't care about your feelings. I swear to God, Bolus is a fucking know-it-all shithead like that. Ajani seethed. I'm here, aren't I? Ah, but what now? What's the next link in this chain, little walker? Will you get your revenge? Will you kill me? Put your dead brother's axe in my guts and wiggle the handle till I'm dead? Stop me from fulfilling my goals here on your beloved worlds. And after that, what? March home a champion? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be flip. What? Oh, flippant, I think is what they meant to type. It is very important to you, I know, but you can't see. You can't see how painfully trite you are. There'll be no pathos in your death, Ajani Goldmane, no grand nobility, only the shabby banality of 1,000 indistinguishable upstarts. With that, Bolas flicked his claw and blasted Ajani back with the force of a meteor. Ajani slammed backward into the slope of the gorge and slumped limp. I've lived hundreds of your lifetimes, continued Bolas. I've survived more apocalypses than you've had chest colds. I've experienced more of this cosmos than any being there has ever been. And you think you're going to stand in my way, Matchstick? You think you're the one to finally take me down? I can tell you now, if Nicole Bolas is to fall, it won't be because of the likes of you. He's turning into William Shatner. Ajani elbowed his way off his back into a sitting position. With his weight on one arm and blood dripping from his mouth, he spoke. For being so old, you throw a tantrum like a child. Got him! Bolas snarled and snapped his arm back in the other direction. Ajani flew bodily across the gorge, slamming sideways into the ground again. Ajani groaned and coughed blood into the walls of the gorge. He searched his mouth with his tongue and felt 2 teeth loose, but clenched them into place with his jaw. What? Bolas approached. Again, you're centuries too late to play the insolent, devil-may-care hero. It's been done far too many times, and by better beings than you. It's played out. You don't have 1,000,000 to 1 chance, little walker. This isn't your once-in-a-lifetime shot at the hero's triumph. This is you fly-swatted. Doesn't make sense, muttered Ajani. Your plan, Bolas grinned. See how it pleads for additional moments. See how it strings together its last breaths. Hoping to stall for time, so it can find the crucial way out of the impossible situation. If I'm so insignificant, why the roundabout plot to kill me, Bolas? Why the spells carried by underlings? Why the white cat prophecies? If I'm nothing, why go to all that trouble? And if I'm not nothing, if I could represent some kind of threat to you, why be so coy? Why not just planeswalk to Naya and murder me in my crib? You're right, of course, replied Bolas. I am prone to theatrics. When one has no peers, one likes to entertain oneself, you see. It's self-indulgent, I admit, but I do like to watch my own symphony play itself out. No, said Ajani, his mouth bleeding. That isn't why. That's not why you sent all the intermediaries, why you had everyone do your dirty work but yourself. I think it's because you've tasted your own mortality. You're powerful, but you understand you have weaknesses. I can see it in you. Even you, ancient dragon, are afraid. Bolas's cheek spikes fanned out, and his chest filled with rage. The energies from the whirling maelstrom lit him from behind, casting his face into blackness. He spread his wings out, looking like a god, and stretched his claws toward Ajani's face. But then he stopped and stepped back. "Tut tut," he said, "you almost made me forget what I was here to do." Bolas turned and stepped into the center of the maelstrom. Ajani shielded his eyes. The maelstrom exploded into a sphere of light, drenching the dragon planeswalker in waves of power. The force of the blast crushed Ajani into the wall of the chasm, feeling like a continuous barrage of electric shocks. There was either no sound or so much sound that Ajani had gone deaf. Unable to cope with complex thought, Ajani's mind repeated one phrase over and over. "He's done it. He's done it." The explosion of power died down to a mere hurricane. Ajani's sense of hearing returned. A thunderous, continuous roar. Ajani squinted into the light and perceived contours of a dragonic being coiled into a fetal position. The dragon moved within the radiance. Its wings opened, its arms and legs stretched out, its tail uncoiled and spread long and majestic. Its head reared up to the empty sky, its mouth opened. It was unmistakably Bolas, but Ajani thought he looked larger than he had been, or somehow more grandiose. He had no scars or wounds, no frayed scales on his pinions, no scruffy patches at his joints. He was smooth, sleek, a study in armored scale stretched over lean muscle. He had become everything that his potential allowed him to be. He was a divinity of the multiverse. Bolas let loose a roar that tore the firmament ragged, reverberating through all of existence. Ajani felt pain rack his body for the duration of the roar. "That's it," he thought. "This is the end of my life, and worse, the end of all life on my world. Bolas is done with our plane. He'll crumple Alara into dust and destroy everyone on it." The dragon ascended out of the maelstrom slowly, surging with power. The winds slackened, and Ajani saw that Bolas moved out of the nucleus. The energy there diminished rapidly. The glow of power followed Bolas and then disappeared into him, leached away by his body. All that was left behind was a tiny sunball floating above the spiral depression in the land. A meek swirl of energy, no bigger than Ajani was tall. Bolas had almost absorbed it all. The dragon looked down at Ajani, his expression inscrutable. Was he murderous or benevolent? Did he even have emotions, or just an intelligence so vast that his mind operated solely in pure thought? Bolas spoke, and his voice was everywhere at once. "I fear nothing." "Don't do it, Bolas," shouted Ajani up at the dragon god. "Just go. You've done enough damage here." "Why should I not? It's a disgrace now, a ruin bereft of value." "No, it's my world." With a mighty leap, Ajani dived into what remained of the maelstrom. It enveloped him, suspending him in the air, filling him with a rush of mana that overloaded his senses. With even a fraction of the power of the maelstrom, Ajani was overwhelmed. He couldn't believe Bolas had held any more than that. He felt the efforts of thousands of mages all at once, channeling their magics at one another, feeding him with their power. Ajani closed his physical eyes, and his inner one opened. "Prying open my third eye!" Oh, boy. We return to Ajani's POV. But he's absorbed quite a bit of power. Orange cream Coke. Good stuff. Alright. The next chapter is just called Ajani Goldmane. The world was stark and featureless. A white void. "Ajani," said his brother's voice. He turned. Before him stood Jazal, silver-furred, kind-faced, and alive, at least in spirit. Ajani realized that their hands were clasped together. "Jazal, I've been searching," said Ajani. "I know. I cannot avenge you. I'm sorry. The real killer, the being ultimately responsible for your death, he's out there. He's far more powerful than me." "I know." "And Zaliki, she was misled. It wasn't her fault. She loves you." "I know. It's all right, Ajani. I'm sorry I failed you." "Is that what you've done?" "Yes. It was all too big for me. The murder, the 5 worlds, the multiverse, everything was bigger than I imagined. It was too much for me to handle. That's the first thing you have to learn before you can rise to accomplish grander things. But that'll never happen. It's over. He won. I didn't catch on in time to stop him. His plans are complete. He gained the power he sought. There's no way I can put you to rest, and even worse, our world, all of Alara, is about to be used up and tossed aside. You're still here, aren't you? You haven't given up if you're still committed to what must be done. Then there's still a chance. Listen. I'm listening. No, really, listen. You're standing in the core of Alara, its beating heart. This is what I was searching for, the possibility that there was something underneath all the lies of Marisi and his master. This is it, this core of mana, composed of threads of lives from every corner of Alara. It's what Bolas wanted to feed on, and what you have the opportunity to learn from. So listen. I hear echoes. Yes. What does it mean, Ajani? What are they telling you? I can almost hear them. Ajani felt Jazal's hand slipping away. Jazal, wait! Don't go! What are they telling you, Ajani? His face and his voice were growing fainter, vanishing into the white nothingness. Even as Ajani reached out for him, he faded. Jazal! Oh, excuse me, I got burps. Jazal! Fucking Mufasa. Remember who you are. Remember. Oh, goodness. Anyway, we're on 356 of 373. Bolas laughed. This won't do it. Oh, this won't do it, little walker. You can't match me by feeding only scraps. Even all the mages in this world couldn't stop me. Maybe not, said Ajani, but one thing can. The power of friendship. No, I'm kidding. The voices of every spellcaster in Alara spoke to Ajani at once. Their near-limitless knowledge for one cacophonous moment was clear to him. Ajani could see it. Deep inside Bolas was a spark, an eternal essence, just like any other mortal being. Perhaps he wasn't bound by the same rules as other beings. The power, Ajani perceived, there was blinding, mind-splitting, but the dragon still shared that simple, essential core of consciousness, that quintessence that some called soul. And though Ajani couldn't strike down that soul, he could do the reverse. He could nurture it, cause it to blossom, and will its essence into being. You have always brought out the best in others, Ajani, he imagined Jazal saying. That was always your gift. Ajani evoked the essence of Bolas. Energy coursed out of Bolas's chest like a stream of star-encrusted aether, crashing into the depression left by the maelstrom, and splashing against the rim to curve in on itself. The stream warped and distorted as a form took shape. At first it looked like a dragon made of surreal air distortion, suffused with an ultraviolet glow. As it continued to cohere, detail after detail resolved like a distant image, coming into focus until it was a glowing astral reflection of Bolas himself. The two dragon beings regarded one another, their movements curiously alike. Their mimicry infuriated one another, and they howled a sonic mirror. The two dragons crashed into one another, grappling each other in rage. They both knew that they were the greatest threat to one another in all of Alara. They both knew each other's power and treachery, and knew that giving an opening to the other would mean their own destruction. Magical energies pulsed out of them as each one struggled to conquer the mind and soul of the other, trying to use the other as their pawn. Both of them countered to the other with magic designed to prevent the psychic assault. They surged with power of the mana storm, one in the form of scaly flesh and the other in the form of starry aether. Ajani crawled up the slope out of the valley of the maelstrom. He could feel the two dragon beings' power thunderclapping against one another. Hear their claws scraping for purchase on each other's scales. He could feel the raw potential lashing out from them, the tension rising as they fought at the center of the maelstrom. If one of them decided to destroy the other, Ajani thought, then both of them undoubtedly would, and all of Alara would be consumed in their fury. It was up to them. The choice belonged ultimately to Bolas and the nature of his soul. Ajani hurried up the slope, attained the rim of the crater, and turned back to the dragons. The Bolases were perfectly matched. Each blow was met with counterblow, each attempt to gain advantage slapped aside with perfect precision. They were one vast intelligence racing to outdo itself, one mind trying to exceed its own potential, and they were failing. Suddenly the dragons reared back, gazed with pure hatred into one another's eyes, and then thrust their necks forward and slapped their jaws into one another. They're kissing. Not really. The streaming energy of the maelstrom enveloped the dragonic Ouroboros, and a flash of thunderous light overwhelmed Ajani's senses. There was nothing for several moments, only light and silence. I failed, thought Ajani. Alara has been destroyed. Then, slowly, the sound of the wind returned to Ajani's ears. The sensation of it blowing in his fur felt strange, as if he'd forgotten what it felt like to feel something so simple. Gradually the aggressive light faded, and the world emerged before his eyes again. The crater was empty. There were no dragons, and there was no storm of mana. The valley was filled only with the wind. Ajani sat down heavily. The breeze ruffled his coat, fine white fur, newly tinted with wisps of gold. Nothing else stirred. Ajani sat at the edge of the valley for a long time, waiting for Bolas to return and devour the rest of Alara. But he never did. Elspeth, you called me here. The world of Bant was Elspeth's paradise. Oh yeah, sorry. That was the end of the chapter. We now go to Bant. I need to take another sip of Coke. Let's see. The world of Bant was Elspeth's paradise. She had come as a stranger, a planeswalker escaping from an unspeakable past. Yet she had been welcomed as family. Bant was the first place where she truly felt at home, a place she had vowed never to leave. But now, look at it, she thought. It was in ruin. She could see the balefires from her window, pouring smoke composed of the dead into the air. She could see the dead imprinted on her memory, those friends she had sent to their deaths, and the thousands in Asha's army who had perished trying to fend off the undead hordes. The world was irrevocably changed. Her home, her family, her Bant was no more. "Come in, Knight Mardis," she said. Mardis stepped inside the threshold of her quarters. He seemed almost shy. They hadn't spoken since the battle with Malfagor, which he had barely survived. "Thank you for coming," she said. "Of course, Knight Captain. I trust you're well?" That was a strange question. "I am. Well, thank you." She always lied clumsily. "And you? How is your family?" "Quite well. Thank you for asking." He delivered his lies much better than she thought. She knew his family had lost much in the war, as everyone had. Everyone had real family. Everyone who had real families, unlike her, the orphan from beyond the sky. She felt like the stranger again, as she had felt when she first fell into Bant. "I wanted to ask you here to tell you, to give you something," she stammered. "That's nice of you," he said. He was so polite and gracious that it made it harder. She almost wished he would yell at her so that she could deliver the blow more easily. "What is it?" he asked. What was she going to give him? She didn't actually know. It struck her that she had no memento of Bant. There was no plaque, no ring, no ornately framed painting to commemorate that she had ever been there. When she had arrived, she had owned nothing, and she never came to possess anything of consequence while living there. No token of her connection. She truly was an orphan, she thought, so she deserved to feel like one. Who calls a place a home and then fails to defend it as her own? "I'm sorry," she said. "I guess I don't really have anything to give you." Mardis pressed his lips firmly together. His words came out clipped. You're leaving Valoron." Elspeth swallowed. Yes, I'm leaving Valoron." "But why?" "It's important that I leave." "I can't stay," she thought. "I can't stay and see what war has done to Bant." "But where will you go?" asked Mardis. The whole world's like this. Surely you're not moving to one of the other shards." "I'm not sure yet." No, she was leaving Alara altogether, which her friend couldn't understand, but she could see that he understood how serious she was. "But you can't leave," said Mardis, finally displaying true emotion. You're of the sigiled caste. You'd be deserting your post. You'd be violating your oath as a knight. I know, but that means you could never come back. I know. Mortis looked stung. That was the face, she thought. That was the face she had predicted he would make, that somehow she had hoped he would make. That was the true gift she could give him, to make him hate her, to sever their friendship under brutal circumstances so that she could never be missed. She had called him there to betray him, so that he would have good reason to move on, to live his own life and forget her. I'll remember you, he said. Thank you, she said. Let's skip that one. But no, you won't, Martis, she thought. After I go, I'll fade from your memory, and you'll fill your life with your loved ones again. There'll be nothing left of me, nothing to show that I was ever on Bant. It is what I am. It is my life, always trying to find native soil, but never leaving footprints. But I'll remember you, Martis. I'll remember Bant forever. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They almost embraced, but instead shook hands awkwardly. He looked like he was about to say something more, but instead he turned and walked out. The door shut gently. Elspeth turned back to the window. Outside, an acolyte wheeled a cart over to one of the funeral pyres and tipped someone's son or daughter into it. She closed the shutters on the window and then waited until dark to planeswalk away. Mubin recognized the snarl of the Leotau first, coming in through the window. Then he recognized the particular jaunts of metal armor and sigils as the man climbed off the steed. Then he recognized the voice. Mubin, the voice called. Are you here? It was Rafik. Where are we? The so-called hero. He'd finally come back from the war. You old bastard, Mubin said to the paladin as he entered. I owe the clerics a bag of coin now. The errant knight has returned. That's knight general to you, Rafik said. Oh ho, is it now? No, I think I should call you knight idiot for the stunt you pulled. That mission to Esper was ours. I was supposed to go with you, and when I got hurt... He stopped. It doesn't matter anymore, Mubin, said Rafik, full of cheer. I've done it. I have it. I have returned with the Ethereum. It's the only good thing to come out of this war. You'll be able to walk again. Mubin allowed his spirits to jump for a moment. You did? Could he actually have done it? Mubin wondered. He mouthed the gasp of hope that he wanted to breathe. Still, even in his rising mood, he felt the weight of guilt. You risked your neck unnecessarily, he said. Anybody could have been sent to do this. Nobody more motivated, said Rafik dismissively. We've got everything we need out in the cart. I've already got the clergy working on the incantations. Mubin felt wary. An alien form of magic intruding his body? A ritual using borrowed words and components from a world away? But if he refused to try, Rafik would never see him walk again. Worse, Mubin's immobile limbs would serve as an eternal reminder of his friend's error, and of the rift between them, if he never got out of his bed, it would make Rafik's arduous mission all for nothing. So, Mubin said finally, when can we start? Rafik's laugh filled the room and released a soul's worth of pent-up hope. Aw, that's very sweet. Alright, we're going back to Sarkhan Vol's POV. Yeah, I'm absolutely gonna finish this tonight. We're on 365. Back on Jund, Sarkhan reached back and snapped an arrow shaft that jutted from between his shoulder blades. As he walked, he tried to excavate the arrowhead out from his back with a knife. Elves make good quality arrows, he thought. They dig deep and clutch at you from the inside. He wondered whether the arrowhead lodged in his back was carved from the bone of some great Naya beast. He imagined the bone shards sizzling as it came in contact with his blood. the blood that was corrupted by drops from the veins of his master Bolas. The battle had not gone well for Sargon, and he was not eager to seek out the ancient dragon wherever he had gone and face his judgment. He was not eager to explain that his mana bonds were shorn from him by a neophyte planeswalker, and that he fled, the authority over his flight of dragons dwindling as his mana left him, all the way back to Jund. He dug at the skin on his back, wincing slightly, and finally wrung the arrowhead free. He stopped walking up the trail for a moment and looked at it in his hand. It was no mighty bone shard, it was just a chipped stone triangle in a handful of blood. It struck him that it was his allegiance to Bolas, he thought. That was his fate, to be a weapon drowned in another's blood. He had the brief, bizarre impulse to plunge the arrowhead into his eyeballs. The thought made him chuckle. The chuckle turned into an uncontrolled laughter that went on until he was hoarse. Keep your mind together, he warned himself, but he thought of Bolas's black silhouette in the sky and couldn't think of a reason why he should. He walked to the edge of the sweltering cauldron, the volcanic caldera, where he had taught a catman about fire and rage. The lava bubbled below him, oppressively hot, blackening his feet through his boots. He wondered what it would be like to be lowered bit by bit into that glowing red sludge. He chortled crazily and then planeswalked away from Alara. Let's see. Okay, we're back to Mubin's POV, so we're going to do a panorama. I'm told this isn't often done this late in life, said the healer, a middle-aged human woman. Mubin lay on the bed in the cleric's temple, a broad protection circle surrounding the bed. The covers were pulled up, leaving his limp legs exposed. Next to him, Rafik looked on with a brother's worry. The healer bound her long sleeves up with loops of twine and arranged the translation of the Esper rituals along Mubin's bedside. Next to the bed, a small cauldron of silver metal roiled and bubbled. The liquid behaved as though it were boiling hot, but there was no fire under it, and it didn't fume into the air. Either Ethereum boiled cool, or some magic in the cauldron was keeping it an unnaturally active liquid. Esper beings get Ethereum enhancements well into old age, continued the healer, but the first infusion is usually done on a young body, a body that is still growing and easily able to heal. Healing helps the body incorporate the alloy, but in principle this should work on an adult. Don't you worry, Rafik said. She's the best. She was our balm giver on our mission, and she was right there with us when we captured the formula. She knows everything that anybody on Bant knows about this process. That didn't sound entirely promising. Should I be asleep? Said Mubin. It's better if you're awake, so you can answer my questions, said the healer. I'll need as much information back from you as you can provide me. If you feel anything strange, tell me, all right? Mubin looked at his legs and at the cauldron of silvery Ethereum. He felt strange, all right, but he just nodded. Mubin's legs were numb as the balm giver did her work on them. He couldn't see much over the raised sheet, but if he craned his neck, he could get a glimpse of how his legs had been sliced from thigh to foot, and the skin flayed open. The healer was chanting quietly and pouring the silvery alloy into the long wounds. The sight made him dizzy, and he lay down. He had no sensation in his legs, but it wasn't long before he felt a flood of strange sensations throughout the rest of his body. He felt energized, as if all the systems in his body were being organized more effectively and efficiently. He felt strength returning to muscles that he didn't even realize had atrophied since his injury. He felt strangely youthful. His dizziness turned to euphoria. Are you giggling? All right, we got an ad break in about 48 seconds. So I'll keep reading until the ad goes. Was I? I think you were. It's difficult to tell on a rocks, but I wouldn't know what else to call it. That's enough, you two, said the healer. I'm almost done here. But I don't need you disturbing the patient tonight, General. Mubin grinned and tried to relax as the healer chanted. The filigree is taking shape, she said. Rafiq's eyes widened as he stared down at Mubin's legs. You should be seeing this, he said. It's amazing. The metal was twinning in on itself, branching and stretching as it cools and sets. It's making something beautiful. It's making knees, the healer said quietly. It's making knees, bro. Calm down. Lubin was hardly prepared for the electric pain that stabbed through his body. He moaned as blades cut their way through his veins and tiny lightning excruciated his nerves. He didn't have time to ask what was wrong before it overwhelmed his mind and he passed out. Meanwhile, Rafik watched purple splotches spread their way up Mubin's body. The process was sickeningly swift. He could see the Rox's skin bruising from the inside out, starting at his legs, moving up his chest and neck and out into his arms. Something's wrong, he said. Get it out of him. The Ethereum, it's poisoning him. Can't you see that? Get your knives and cut it out of him now. The balm giver was moving quickly, drawing angelic symbols across his body with sacred dyes, but she couldn't contain the reaction. It was spreading too fast. Mubin's body jerked and his back arched twice. His eyes were clenched shut and sweat ran down his face. His lungs pumped up and down, making loose wheezing sounds. Do something, Rafik said. You have to save him. Oh, Asha, I've made a mistake. What have I done? Okay. It's ad break time. Good evening, VOD watchers. I hope you're enjoying the end of Alara Unbroken. I'm still not sure what book to read next. I may put it to a vote, we'll see. But, I have a few manga in mind. Definitely. Definitely want to read some manga online. Love, love, love. Actually, you know what? That may be what I'll do is start manga online. Start reading the manga. Hello, Milky. I appreciate um I appreciate the lurk you've been doing. You hadn't said anything this entire time, so I figured you were just lurking, but as soon as you say something in chat, I'm like, oh, that's clear. It's clear that it's, to me at least, that you are in dinner time, so I was busy. Oh, it's all good, buddy, no problem. We're just about done with the book, and then I think the next time we're gonna start reading manga online. I will be going to the pre-release for the Final Fantasy Magic: The Gathering set tomorrow, though. I'm very excited about that. I just hope they don't charge like $75 fucking dollars for a pre-release kit. They really shouldn't be arbitrarily raising these prices. This is so stupid. They would have made enough money if they just charged regularly for this. Like it's absurd. It's absurd. I'm also disappointed that so many people are buying a Switch 2 on launch day. Like, no, dude. Do not let Nintendo think they can get away with arbitrarily raising the price. They're a fucking multi-billion-dollar company, and their CEOs can afford to take a fucking pay cut. In Brazil, the Final Fantasy set is impossible. Yeah, it's like double the price it normally gets. Yeah, that sounds about right. It's fucking stupid. I hate it. Arbitrary inflation is absolutely what it is. So I'm gonna print. Valid. Do that. If I ever get a Switch 2, it'll be used. And like a year or two from now, whenever the price has gone down to something more reasonable. 450, 550, it's fucking stupid. It's absurd. But we're back. Let's finish up this novel, baby, and then we're gonna call it emulators. Yeah, exactly, emulators. But I don't have a PC that's strong enough to handle like modern Switch 2 games. That's the only thing I'm worried about is the modern Switch 2 games. I can already easily access the old games. Alright, let's see. Oh yeah. What have I done? I'll do everything I can, said the healer. I'm giving him a balm to ease the pain, but we have little knowledge of this kind of magic. It appears to be an infection of some kind, but the usual methods of treating it aren't working. I'm afraid we have nothing to combat this infection. Mubin's convulsions stopped, and his breathing slowed. He's coming around, said the healer. She touched Rafiq's arm. I'd advise you to make your peace. No, Rafiq thought, not yet. Every time, he said. Every time I thought I was doing something right, old friend, I've done everything wrong. Mubin's eyelids opened as slits. His eyes found Rafiq's. How's it going, old friend? Mubin croaked. Rafiq blinked rapidly. A lump was forming in his throat. You're doing well. It's going to be fine. He got Grix's feet rot. No. Sure, said Mubin. I'll be dancing in no time. Don't task yourself. Rest. I'm fine. Growing pains. The old rock smiled. Purple contusions slithered up his cheeks. Mubin, I'm sorry, Rafiq whispered. I've failed at every turn. It's not about that, old friend. Your virtue made you blind. While you looked into the sun, they stabbed you. You just never... Mubin gritted his teeth and coughed black blood through them. Rafiq hurried to wipe his lips and pat his sweat on his brow. Mubin's eyes closed, his head sagged, and he fell back into unconsciousness. Mubin never woke up again. Meanwhile, it's time to go, Knight General, said the girl, Rafiq's newly assigned squire. She was the same young page who had once polished the faces of his sigils for him. She was more nursemaid than squire, he thought. He couldn't remember her name. I'm not going to do that thing, Rafiq muttered. If Mubin were here, he wouldn't try to make him leave his chamber. Not when he felt that way. You have to go, sir. You're being honored, she said. You're getting the sigil of the Grand Laurel. I told you, remember? She was supposed to be very promising as a young knight to be, and she was of course humble to a fault. When they were reintroduced, she admired him and his glorious deeds. It was an honor to see him again. It would be her privilege to serve as his attendant from now on. It made him feel sick inside. I don't want any more sigils. I'll get your gown, said Thilka, or whatever her name was. Oh, the messenger was outside. Do you know a couple called the Lavacs? They say they had a baby, a daughter, and they want you to be their godfather. Aww. Rafiq wondered what he had said at Mubin's funeral. Mubin's body had been interred in the burial grounds behind the palace of Arasil the Blessed, not far from the 12 trees of Valoron that the old rocks had helped dig up, and not far from the reliquary where he and Rafiq had first met so long ago. Rafiq barely remembered the ceremony. Had he given a speech? Had he raved like a lunatic? He hadn't the haziest idea. He remembered the girl, Thenka, or whatever her name was, escorting him in the carriage, and how he demanded she take him to the old watering hole in the neighboring village. And he remembered the painful hangover the next day. The squire girl brought him his formal court gown and began the process of getting him inside it. He didn't resist. He was watching a spot on the wall where a spider was creeping up the wall. It moved a few inches and then stopped, then turned, then moved a few more inches. Rafiq wondered if the spider was deciding on an overall course of action, or whether it was making turns at random and letting chance decide its destination. All his life he had tried to make the right and virtuous choices, he thought, but every time he felt that chance had twisted them beyond recognition. He had been the plaything of prophets, rulers, and demons. He had followed the path of virtue at every turn, and where had it gotten him? The spider doubled back on its previous progress, crawling over a crack in the wood beams of the wall. There it stopped and waited for something only a spider could understand. Many tainted virtue. Many facade of honor. It was worse than being a victim of fate. If his life had been just a sequence of random events, he might actually understand all the destruction, betrayal, and death. He might understand Mubin's death as a tragic accident brought on by sightless fortune, but he knew that he had made choices in each of the tragedies that befell him. The common factor behind every misfortune in his life was himself. "There you are," said the girl. "Thaka, or whatever." Still funny. She had managed to get him in his gown, despite himself. "How handsome you look. You're all ready to receive the sigil of the Grand Laurel. Now let's go, sir. We can't afford to keep the blessed caste waiting. Would you like to wear your sword to the ceremony, sir, or Knight Mubin's?" "I'm not one to choose," he said. As she led him out of the chamber, he watched the spider speed across the wall for a moment, then turn suddenly, then move in a slow arc back to the place where it had started. Back on Naya. Ajani pushed a sponge into the bottom of the wooden bucket, soaking up the water and cleanser and squeezing it out. He scrubbed the rough stone floor of Jazal's lair, where the bed had been, wiping up the stains. The spot had discolored to black and had soaked into the porous stone, but Ajani worked at it with vigor. "Ajani, can I come in?" Zaliki's voice. Ajani didn't look up. "I don't know. Do you think you deserve to come in here?" Zaliki watched him scrub the stain from the mouth of the cave. "You're right. I'll go." "Wait, Zaliki, I have to tell you something." She stopped but didn't face him. "What is it?" "I'm going. Tonight." "Where?" She turned. "Away from Naya? Away from everything. Away from Alara." She watched him squeeze water into the stain. Rehydrated blood flowed along cracks in the floor. "Will you ever be back?" "I can't say," he said. "I don't think this world is meant for me. I don't know." I'll miss you," she said. "I'm appointing you Ka." "What?" "I've met with the elders. In light of recent events, they not only look me in the eye now, they've offered me leadership of the Pride, but I'm abdicating the Ka position to you. Please do this for me. Ajani, I need to know that someone will take care of this Pride. Someone will carry on what Jazal is trying to do, who will reunify with the Cloud Nakadal and communicate with the elves. Someone who will make sure no one's trying to infiltrate us again. And for that you chose me? I know, it sounds strange. To be honest, I thought about killing you for a while." Zaliki swallowed. "I'm sorry, but I decided you understood what you'd done. In fact, you're the one I'd most rely on never to fall into a trap from outside the Pride again. You've seen what it leads to, and it's hurt you. You'd be the last person to make that mistake now. Is that forgiveness? It's close. It's trust." Zaliki's eyes scanned the ceiling of the cave. "Thank you. I've made all the arrangements. Please go now." She opened her mouth, but closed it again. She looked at him one last time and left. Ajani scrubbed all night until the floor was clean. He carried the bucket outside the lair and dumped the soiled water over the ledge into the jungle below. And that's how the fucking novel ends, with Ajani pouring out bloody water. Hilarious. All right, when you reach end chapters, you think Edge of Eternity gonna be good Star Wars. I've never heard of Edge of Eternity. Also, Wizard to relaunch. Never heard of that one either. All old books as audiobooks, but only if the OG right. I haven't. Yeah, I don't know what any of those are. I am. I decided while I was reading, I am going to read the manga. It's 200 chapters worth, I think, but it's called The World God Only Knows, and it is a finished series. It finished back in 2016, I think. It's never gotten an official English release either, but there was an anime made, and it did get an English dub, and I've got all three seasons of it. But the anime never adapted the last arc into anime. It was so close. It was so close to being perfect, and they just never did it. I don't even know who owns the rights to it now, but I know that the people who used to own it, their studio burned down or was flooded, one of the two. Point is, it's no longer a thing anymore. Oh, it's the one guy's the ultimate date sim player. Yeah, you know it. The fuck, oh fuck yeah, dude. Hell yeah, it is. It takes the idea of a harem and turns it on its head. I love it so much. But with that in mind, I will be ending stream, and I'm gonna see who I want to raid. But before I do, thank you for watching all the way to the end, VOD watchers. To my left, right about now, should be two things. At the top left should be a random recommended video for you, and right below that should be a playlist for so that you can listen to the entire reading of Alara Unbroken from me. Hope you enjoy it and have a wonderful day, VOD watcher. Bye bye.